It's Monday. You're in a class, doodling in your notebook. Or maybe you're in the office, staring blankly at your screen. Remember last night? You said, this Monday, everything changes. I'm gonna start that YouTube channel, launch that dropshipping biz, and hit the gym as soon as I get home. Oh. Yep, you're so tired your soul just left a server. You take a nap, eat dinner, and then sleep right into escapist mode. Scrolling, binging shows, snacking, playing games until the day's over. And nothing's changed. So what do we do about it? I have read countless books and listened to many different podcasts on the topic, but information was all over the place. While I was doing all that, I was watching Jujutsu Kaisen, and I couldn't help but notice how well its power system mirrors what's happening in real life. I will break down how our mind works using concepts from Jujutsu Kaisen and show you how to apply it to achieve any goal, whether it's getting in shape like I did, or something else you're aiming for. We have a lot to cover, so let's just dive in. In the base of JJK power system lies cursed energy. It stores all negative emotions, ranging from simple irritation to full-on depression mode. To better understand anything, it's best to visualize it. And after many attempts, I came up with this. Negative emotions are actually just product of negative thoughts that spawn every day in our subconscious mind. Some of them also come from our desires and needs. On the right side are external situations or people, which can also influence how we think and what we desire. There is also a timeline, because desires and needs operate mostly in the future scenarios, and negative thoughts often reminds us of negative experiences. But as we know, desires sometimes fall here, and we worry about the future. Imagine a negative thought, like I'm not good enough, spawning here. It travels toward emotion filter. It can then be felt as sadness, and even reflected outwards, which we know can show on our face, for example. If we don't process our emotions, they can then influence our beliefs and even how we view ourselves. JJK shows us that these emotions are natural, but it is our ability to interpret and direct them that allows us to use them as fuel for our goals. When it comes to positive thoughts, they are simply not here. If you think about any moment of happiness in your life, there wasn't any thinking about the future or past at that particular moment. Instead, it was just pure satisfaction of clutching around. Naturally, we exist in state of peace and love. When our desires are satisfied, they shrink, and as we become present, our thoughts quiet down, allowing our core to produce more positive emotions than thoughts and desires combined. True happiness comes from giving. Oh, then it's simple. I should just turn off my thinking, thanks. You see, the problem with our world is that it is constructed based on our desires, not our values. We are taught not to handle our emotions because of common belief that it is not possible. But that's a lie. We can control how we respond to certain emotions by raising our awareness and paying attention to what we feel. Emotions should give us a clue to what is going on inside our heads. Funny enough, in the show, emotions start in the gut, because you get it, we say we have a gut feeling. Anger, for example, can be destructive if you misdirect it and hurt others or yourself. The Latin root of the word aggression means moving forward. When we fight for space in the world, trying to create or change something, we use exactly that energy. Think of the last time when you felt angry. I bet you felt energized. But does that mean that being angry for no reason and listening to songs that make you feel like a villain will give us more power? Sorcerers are trained to produce cursed energy using the finest sparks of emotion, and they are also trained not to waste cursed energy when emotions are flaring. You cannot directly see a cursed energy same way as you cannot directly see a thought or belief. We often ignore the way we live until something in our life goes wrong. We neglect our health until we get sick, or ignore our car's condition until it breaks down. Then we are like,
oh no, I should probably do something about it.
Unfortunately, change happens when the pain of staying the same is greater than the pain of change. Chris Williamson brilliantly said that some people would do better if their situation were slightly worse, because it would push them to take action. Megumi decided to activate his domain only when he found himself in near-death situation. This shows that he could have done it before, but was limited by his own beliefs. Let me be clear. We are creatures of desires, and conquering desire is illusion. Desire is a contract you make with yourself, a binding vow that until you get what you want, you will be unhappy. Those can be, for example, needs, which are represented in famous Maslow's pyramid. Here also lies Nietzsche's idea of the will to power, which suggests that every human being is driven by inherited desire to assess control, influence, or dominance, whether it's over their circumstances, others, or even themselves. It is not just about survival or basic needs, it's about striving for something more. Desires operate mainly in the future. They want us to feel good, but we never quite get there. We cannot be satisfied. Some people chase wealth, others want recognition, while others seek to finally hit diamond. Our sense of self is anchored in our values, which serve as the guiding principles we choose to live by in order to lead a meaningful life. This is the part we need to work on, but it is guarded by the sphere of beliefs, where information from outside first needs to be accepted as true. This sphere is made of resistance, a key concept from the book The World of Art, where Steven Pressfield talks about how whenever anyone pursues a goal or dream, they are confronted with resistance. It has one job only, and that is to keep you in your comfort zone. Our brains didn't evolve to make us happy. They evolved to keep us safe by conserving energy and avoiding discomfort. And of course, reproduce in best case scenario. This is just our animal brain trying to keep us safe. It's not a bug, it's a feature. Fear unnecessary things, better safe than sorry. Despite our technical advances, we are biologically the same creatures we were 50,000 years ago, making things we eat and what we see today rather questionable. But that's a topic for another video. Resistance has many forms. I will just list you on the screen some examples so you can pause and read. And of course, among them is our procrastination. Resistance also takes the form of cognitive biases. Our brains use shortcuts to deal with the overwhelming amount of information in the world. There is a long list of these thinking errors, but I will leave that for another video. Now that we know more about how our unconscious mind works, we can admit that
hey, that's pretty good.
But we can begin to see some problems. Because once habits form, they run automatically. This is why unprocessed emotions will eventually influence us, creating what JJK calls cursed spirits are born from cursed energy leaking out of humans who are unaware of its existence. This energy accumulates, often in places like cemeteries or schools. And when enough builds up, it creates a creature that feeds on other people's negativity. Curses are ranked by grades, from grade 4 to special grade. In JJK, the strongest curses are often born from widespread fears. For example, Jogo represents humanity's fear of fire. In real life, we can think of these spirits as traumas or negative beliefs that operate in similar ranking systems. It's often the case that you think you have to be happy all the time and let your actions be decided by your desires, not you, despite the fact that you are actually a ratatouille in this case. In JJK 0 we met Yuta Okotsu, a deeply depressed and shy character. Many people can relate to this, experiencing a lack of meaning in life. These negative thoughts can overflow, sometimes pushing people to the edge of insanity. Yuta is brought to the academy where they learn how to exercise curses, meaning drive out or attempt to drive out a supposed evil spirit from a person or a place. The goal in this case is to remove negative self-beliefs and open the mind to new possibilities. Maki tells Yuta that he's acting like a victim, despite being protected by a powerful curse. This shows that he's stuck in a loser's mentality, unable to see the power he holds. You should never believe that you are a victim in any situation. Nor believe in luck for that matter, because luck is when opportunity meets preparation. Yuta's first mission is to rescue 2 kids kidnapped by a curse at school. This mission parallels real life. Many of our negative beliefs and fears begin in childhood. We need to start by addressing the issue here, because we are literally programmed, adapting behaviors from environment, mimicking our parents and peers to fit in. Gojo introduces the concept of the veil. It's like a barrier that lures curses out while keeping you hidden. This is perfect metaphor for meditation or shadow work. Not this one. Carl Jung's shadow work refers to the parts of our nature that we hide from ourselves. Our fears, vanity, rage and insecurities. The more insecure we are, the more likely we are to seek validation from others, trying to fit in instead of becoming who we truly are. So many people these days are trapped in certain thinking patterns, what Jung calls the collective shadow. An example of this is the script that society often hands us. Go to school, get a job, work for your whole life, retire. But a person who could look at their own shadow and own it now has a large problem, because you're no longer to blame others for what goes wrong in his life. It is the easiest if you have a partner or someone who deeply cares about you to help you uncover and point out your shadow. That's why Yuta is paired with Maki, as they have feelings for each other. That's also how therapy works. You are brought with this other person to exercise a particular part of your belief system. The first step of self-examination is finding out what do you want to want. And please don't lie to yourself that you want
$1 million.
or a dinner with Elon. You need your own meaning and philosophy. Ask yourself, if you had infinite money, had already traveled the world, had no fear, and received no recognition for what you do, what would you create? And combine this with anti-vision. Where do you not want to be? What do you not want to become? Sit and think about those questions, because the purpose of thinking is so that your thoughts can die instead of you. Definition of success is a progressive realization of a worldly ideal. You can help people for free and stay poor, and you will still be a success, as long as it is what you intended to do. A ship is safe at the shore, but it was not built for that, because a man is a goal-oriented creature. Viktor Frankl said, when a person can't find a deep sense of meaning, they distract themselves with pleasure. The world will ask you who you are, and if you don't know, the world will tell you. When fighting using cursed energy, if the user's control is precise enough, a special phenomenon can happen. If a character throws a punch and applies a cursed energy within seconds, the result is a black flash, amplifying the power of the hit by a factor of 2.5. There is no Jujutsu sorcerer who can use this technique at will, since it requires such insane precision. But a skillful curse user can make it happen more frequently. Todo says that the distance between those who have used Black Flash and those who haven't, it's the difference between heaven and earth. The best part? I believe you have experienced this in your life already. Black Flash is a fancy name for flow state. Think back to a time where you were so immersed in an activity that you lost track of time. Whether it's painting, coding, or working out, heck, even watching a YouTube video, you weren't thinking about anything else except the task at hand. The hardest thing in modern world is to focus on one thing, one desire. People simply do not have the attention span they had even 10 years ago. Can you even remember when was the last day when you have not used your phone? People in the past were limited by information. When you were born a blacksmith son, you had access to information about how to become a blacksmith. That's it. Nowadays, people have too many options, so they opt for none. Gojo's domain is an excellent example. It overwhelms opponent with information. Gojo himself says that it's funny enough that when granted everything, we can't do nothing. An analysis paralysis. Often what can help us is pure silence. Thanks to the internet, we have never been more connected to others in all human history. Yet we are more lonely than ever. Naval said it perfectly. Lone individuals, summoning inhuman willpower, fasting, meditating, and exercising, up against armies of scientists, weaponizing abundant food, screens, and junk news into a clickbait news, infinite porn, and addictive drugs. Look at this asparagus. Imagine that your aim is to grow this plant. Every day there are these useless weeds growing around it. They represent distractions that, if not cleared, stop your goal from growing. You need to identify your distractions and cut them from your life, like weeds out of the ground. Every time you hop on social media, you get hooked and cooked, brother. We laugh about boomers wasting their lives on TV, but are we any different? We are speedrunning our youth on reels that we will forget in 2 minutes. This is the modern challenge. Everyone is looking to become something they are not. seeking validation instead of trying to understand who they really are. You might thought you were searching for inspiration or doing research, but if you haven't changed your behavior after consuming content, you are just entertaining yourself. And until you make unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. You need to examine where your time goes, what triggers your habits. Throughout your day, I want you to, after each hour, just sit down for 1 minute and write down what you did. And be honest, then at the end of the day, you will go through this list and you will examine your time wasters. You need to catch yourself falling into your habits. What initiates them? If you can't control your mind, someone else's will. Or as Gojo says, no one is allowed to steal youth away from young people. Everything that's everyday is a significant percent of your life. Now, I was fighting back and forth with this part because it was not exactly clear how to convert it and how to visualize it. But as you know, I had to settle on something because of resistance and my perfectionism. So I came up with this. Think of cursed energy as electricity and cursed techniques as appliances. Electricity on its own is difficult to use effectively, but appliances convert that energy into something productive, like light, movement or heating. Similarly, using raw negative emotions to make significant changes in our behavior is extremely challenging. Imagine trying to punch through a thick wall of resistance with a weak stream of unfocused energy. It's not effective and requires a lot of time. That's where awareness comes in. By raising our awareness, we can direct our energy in a more focused way. Cursed techniques are part of this process. They are one of the lenses we use to focus that energy, like focusing sunlight through a magnifying glass. Sukuna explains that techniques are stored in the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for guiding behavior. The secret lies in paying close attention to what we desire and focusing on it sharply. Let's take an example. Getting in shape. You want that summer body, that Toji Fushiguro V-shaped physique. But your inner resistance quickly calculates the effort required and concludes. Oh no! And it whispers,
"We're comfortable as we are. Let's keep it that way."
To overcome this, you need to become the kind of person who goes to the gym automatically, without overthinking it. To do that, we must shape our core through actions. You start by raising your awareness of your desires and gathering different ones that can work together. You see, there is also the desire to be healthy, or a desire to attract a partner, or a desire to be more confident. These desires combine, which helps us overcome the resistance. And then it is just a matter of putting in the action. By repeating these actions over time, they become ingrained in your core, becoming second nature. But I must emphasize, chase 2 rabbits and you will catch none. You can't have multiple desires, pulling you in different directions. You simply can't comprehend or effectively chase them all. Instead, your focus gets scattered, and as a result, none of these desires are fully realized. Here is where the vital concept of the binding vow comes in. Just like in Jujutsu Kaisen, binding vows involve sacrificing one thing to gain strength in another. By focusing on one primary desire and willingly sacrificing others, you amplify your ability to achieve that goal. Just like Nanami sacrifices some of his strength during regular hours to be far more powerful during overtime. In life, it means giving up comfort, other fleeting desires, or even some personal time. The first step to commanding your mind to do what you said you would do is to never make a binding vow to yourself that you cannot keep. Breaking a self-promise punishes you by making it increasingly difficult to command your mind, because deep down you will know that you don't respect your own commitments. It's that sense of determination you get while lying in bed at night, promising yourself that tomorrow you will do X, and then you don't follow through. It's similar to asking a friend for help, and then that friend doesn't show up. You would lose trust in them. Your mind works the same way. It's better not to make promises in the first place than to make them and break them. Just set the bar lower and build up from there, to show your mind that you can keep the smallest commitments.
Over time, these small wins will build up into a greater self-trust. Some people rely on accountability partners, making binding vows with another person to keep themselves on track. Imagine making a contract with your friend, where if you don't exercise 3 times a week, you owe them $5,000. That's a serious motivator. Or now that I think of it, a 9-to-5 job works the same way, because if you don't show up, you're fired. Breaking a binding vow made to someone else carries severe consequences, just like in the show. However, there is a catch that many fall into. Resistance will use a lack of accountability as an excuse not to act. Being mindful all day long demands a lot of energy, especially at the beginning. Before we train our awareness. Over time you will build up what I call consciousness muscle. Now, what about the idea that the curse techniques are given at birth? How does that convert in real life? You can see this idea when you go beyond just a general desire, like getting fit. We also need to express ourselves, and we desire financial freedom. Each of us has unique traits or talents that come naturally, even if they aren't immediately obvious or they are pretty niche. Let me share my own example. I looked back through my memories, and I even asked my family what I enjoyed as a kid. I realized I loved drawing, I liked teaching my young cousins how to write and count, I loved astronomy, medicine, cartoons, movies, computer games, and dinosaurs. Though I still haven't figured out how dinosaurs fit in here. Fuck, maybe actually I'm becoming one. Years later, I found myself reuniting with those hobbies. I started making content on YouTube, where I teach about philosophy and the human mind using analogies from games and movies. The curse techniques we develop are a result of refining our natural traits into focused skills that can impact the world. If you use that lens to channel your desires, whether it's to make money or to express yourself, you become unstoppable and irreplaceable. You can't be outcompeted at being yourself. If someone else works 12 hours without enjoying the process, they will soon be outpaced by someone who loves what they're doing. Yuji feels devastated that he won't be able to do all the cool stuff his friends can do, but Gojo reminds him that we have to work with what we are given. Gojo even mentions that he would rather face someone with savage basic attacks than someone who half-asses their curse techniques. Or as Bruce Lee said, don't fear the man who knows 1,000 techniques. Fear the man who has practiced one technique 1,000 times. The techniques we have reflect our personalities. Todo, for instance, might seem like a guy who is all about muscles and strength, but Todo loves critical thinking, tactics and supporting others, which is why his boogie woogie technique manifested like it did. It allows him to support his allies in creative ways. Yuta wanted to fit in with others, and this longing manifested in his copy technique. Higaruma is a lawyer, so his technique aligns with his passion for justice. And now that we know what curse techniques are, let's talk about... In JJK, we see the concept of reverse curse energy as the ability to heal wounds by converting negative energy into positive energy. But what can it mean in real life? Can we convert negative emotions into something positive? And if so, how? The idea of reverse curse technique can be broken down into 3 distinct approaches: healing ourselves, healing others, and reversing the gaps in our skill sets or personalities. The first aspect of reverse curse energy is about healing ourselves by overcoming negative beliefs and removing power of the curses we place on ourselves. When Gojo talks about multiplying negative energy to achieve healing, think of it as using our reasoning to visualize the negative consequences of staying on our current path. This helps create urgency and motivation to change. You can amplify that negative thought by visualizing where it might lead. If I keep believing I'm not good enough, I will never attempt anything and my life will remain stagnant. The second way to change our deeply held paradigms is by using our secret agent, our memory. By accessing positive memories, we bypass resistance entirely, since we are already on the inside. The truth about our competence is right there, ready to be recalled and used to reshape our beliefs. For instance, if you think, I always fail, I can never get it right, you can remember a time when you succeeded, thereby using positive energy to bring warmth and heal the wound left by self-doubt. This is kinda similar to cognitive behavior therapy, where positive experiences are used to disrupt negative thought patterns. By actively recalling moments of strength, you can reshape your beliefs and overcome self-imposed limitations. The second way to use reverse curse energy is to heal others. This requires direct positive energy from our core, love, compassion and empathy, unlike healing ourselves, which may require multiplying negatives. Healing others, it's simpler, yet a different process. It's about giving, caring and connecting. For example, in JJK Gojo can heal himself, but he cannot heal others because his approach focuses entirely on multiplying his own negative energy. However, Yuta, on the other hand, has the ability to heal others because he channels love and pure emotions, making his energy compatible with healing. By emphasizing with other people's struggles, being there for them and offering support. And of course, we cannot forget about reversed curse techniques. They are all about reversing aspects of ourselves that we lack. Gojo can, for example, reverse his technique. Blue pulls in, red pushes out. Similarly, in real life, we can reverse our strengths. For instance, if you are naturally extroverted, you might be decisive and bold, but lack patience and empathy. Your reverse curse technique would involve learning patience and emotional understanding. On the other hand, if you are introverted, you might struggle with assertiveness despite being highly empathetic. Developing confidence in social settings would be your reverse curse technique. You can see how by having this ability to be aware of the things we lack and integrating them makes us better. Maximum techniques are the perfected versions of our curse techniques. In real life they represent true mastery, taking our unique abilities and refining them until we are operating on an exceptional level. To reach this point, we need dedication and focus. And like Conor McGregor says,
I feel to be at the pinnacle of any game. Whatever you do, you've got to be a little bit gone to it. You're not all there. You've got to be almost insane to your craft.
Gojo also tests Nobara in this way, checking if she's a little bit crazy to do this job, because you first have to truly believe what you do matters to you. Here we are at last. Domain expansion is the pinnacle of Jujutsu society. You make a sign to concentrate on creating a sphere around yourself and trap your opponents inside. This domain embodies your technique, guaranteeing that your abilities will reach their target. It also gives you a significant boost in strength and speed. Now what does that look like in real life? In our model, it's like taking our mindfulness magnifying glass and instead of focusing on a particular aspect of your thoughts, stepping back to view the entire system from a third-person perspective. On top of that, you're viewing it not from the present, but from the perspective of your future self, the person you wish to become, and commanding your actions like a person who's already capable of achieving it. When you align yourself with your ideal future self, your actions will always lead toward your goal, because that version of you has a clear path and knows precisely where they are headed. If you think about omnipotence, like in Boruto, a power that makes thoughts reality in an instant, is the ultimate type of power. As he thinks, so it becomes. To become more powerful in your life, you simply need to decrease the gap between what you think you should do and actually doing it. The concept is simple, but its execution is incredibly challenging. In fact, all the comparisons I've made in this video aren't quick and easy solutions. They are missions for a lifetime. Not everyone is a hero, and there is a lot of suffering in this world. But if you made it to this point in the video, it means you're probably in much better situation than many people who struggle every day just to feed themselves and their families. It's important to be grateful for what we have and to strive to be better, not just for ourselves, but for the people we care about and for those who will come after us. And remember, we only get one life, but one is enough if we live it well.